Mr. Kimmich for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. So first to the Deputy Minister, I heard both you and Ambassador mention pragmatic diplomacy, pragmatic engagement, that type of terminology. I have the Global Energy Monitor here. And I want to ask you specifically, because both of you mentioned climate change and the importance of working with the PRC on it. But it seems to me like the PRC says one thing and does another. So according to the Global Energy Monitor, it shows that the PRC has an estimated 114 gigawatts of capacity approved that uses coal power, and 70 gigawatts have started construction in 2023. For 2022 was 104 gigawatts that was approved. 54 gigawatts was under construction. How can we believe anything they have to say on climate change when they are not going to meet any of their 2025 climate change goals? All the while they're using Canada's good name through this organization that's been mentioned now multiple times that Minister Guilbeault is the executive vice chair of.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. As with many things, when it comes to China, there's a duality here. I believe that the statistics cited in terms of building coal-fired plants are probably correct, and that pulls obviously in one direction. China is also the world's, I believe, by some measure, largest producer of photovoltaic solar panels. Now, we have real issues with how and where those are produced, but they are actually helping. China's production is helping countries around the world transition off dirty fuels. And if you look at what they're doing on electric vehicles, again, we have some challenges with that, but making even inexpensive electric vehicles for their own market, which is a huge market, will help China and therefore the world meet its climate goals. So, as I said, as with much of China, it's kind of a dual story.
So, Chair, you said duality and dual story. So, is it fair then to say they say one thing and do another, and Canada seems to just be playing along with it and doing nothing? You mentioned renewable energy and solar panels. That's built with Uyghur forced labor. Yeah, you didn't express any concerns about that. Why?
I believe I did express concerns about that, with all respect.
I'd like to hear it again then.
Canada has been concerned for a very long time about the use of forced labor in Xinjiang and elsewhere, and it makes its concerns known. I believe we all just heard from Ambassador May that she's going to Xinjiang later today. So we are engaged in efforts to ensure transparency in supply chains, including for photovoltaic panels.
So, Mr. Morrison, I was going to ask you then, when you met with the PRC Vice Foreign Minister in April 2024, did you raise the specific issue with them, and did you raise that they're going to miss all of their climate change goals because they're massive production and construction and operationalizing these coal power plants?
We discussed a range of issues, including climate change and including human rights in Hong Kong, Tibet, Xinjiang, and elsewhere.
And you did raise the issue of the coal power plants, the mass production, the hundreds of gigawatts of power they're putting on, and the production?
I am not going to get into the details of everything I raised. I just gave you the sort of wave tops of the kinds of issues that we discussed, and those included climate change.
Is it fair then to say, based on this and the testimony you've given so far, that the executive vice chairmanship by the Environment Minister of Canada on the executive committee of the China Council for International Cooperation on Environment and Development then is simply a fig leaf being used by the Communist Party to hide the fact, this duality, to hide the fact that they're not going to meet any of their climate change goals and we're simply playing along with it?
Mr. Chair, I would simply submit that the committee that Minister Guilbeault is the vice chair of has been around for many, many years. It has allowed Canada and other countries to engage China in all manner of discussions about the environment, including climate change and biodiversity. And most countries that are members of the committee continue to find it a very useful forum.
To Mr. Kimich again for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Just so you know, I'll be passing some of my time to Mr. Seaback. So I have 5 minutes. Thank you, sir. Back to Mr. Morrison. So Canada helped to establish the China Council in 1992, and we've been one of the lead international donors to the China Council since its inception. And I was looking at the MOU on my phone here, and it says Environment and Climate Change Canada contributed about $8 million in Phase 4. And I've quoted back to you the 114 gigawatts of coal power being put online in 2023, 104 gigawatts of power in 2022, coal power again. And the Global Energy Monitor says because of those, the PRC will not be able to meet any of its 2025 climate change goals. You've kept talking about duality and kept talking about these two sides that we can, and quote, solve problems together. But wouldn't it be fair then to say, and for Canada then to admit, that the PRC is using this council, the environment minister's continued presence on the council as a form of greenwashing of the PRC's environmental record?
Mr. Chair, as I've said in the past, the China Council goes back some decades, as has just been pointed out, I think 1992. I think governments of all stripes have found it a useful forum in which to engage with China on all manner of environmental issues, be it climate change, biodiversity, and the full gamut of international issues. So there's always the danger of kind of greenwashing, but I believe the China Council has proven its worth over the past several decades.
Chair, how much time do I have?
3 minutes.
I'll pass it over to Mr. Seaback.